The other thing I was going to say is the last process here I wanted to talk about, in addition to long division here for your dividing by binomials, is called synthetic division. Synthetic division, turns out you can use that when you divide by a binomial, but it has to be a special one. It has to be of the form x plus a number or x minus a number. And the reason you want to do that is because it shortens the long division process up quite a bit. And so the last ones that we do in this set, they'll be pretty long ones. So yeah, we're going to use synthetic division, what it's called. All right, now notice here I've got a division one up here that I could use synthetic division on, because don't I have on this one dividing by a binomial of that form that I need? It's x minus a number. So I can actually use, so that's what I wanted to do, is use this one kind of as an example. It's a shorter one, but we'll use it for a couple of longer ones here and show you how it really works out. And then the other thing is we can check to see that it actually does work out, because we've already got the answer. All right, so let's use synthetic division on the previous one there. Here's how it works. We're going to use synthetic division on the 2x squared plus x minus 10 divided by x minus 2 problem. One thing synthetic division does is, as you're going through the process, it eliminates all the variables while you do the process. Here's the way you start, or one way you can start it. What you do, or what I'm going to do, is draw backwards L, half a square, whatever you want to call it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one number in that, and the number I'm going to put in that is not minus 2, but positive 2, the opposite of the number of that binomial. Do a positive 2. So the opposite of the bottom number. That's what I put in that backwards L, half a box, whatever you want to say. Okay? All right, now, alongside that, over here, I'm going to put the coefficients of my top line there. So I'm going to do 2, no variables, so 2, coefficient 1, and negative 10. So just 3 numbers there. With me okay? No big deal so far. Just writing the numbers, not the variables at all. Okay, so here's how it works. Skip a line and draw a line. Skip a row and draw a line. This first number is just going to come directly below the line. The 2, if that had been 100, I put 100, or negative 5,000, I put negative. So it's just that line, that number comes directly below the line there. That gets it started. Because the process, again, is repetitive, I'm going to take this number up here actually I'm going to multiply it by the number up here in the box. So I'm going to take this number by this number, and both 2's there. So that's what goes there. 4, 2 times 2. Okay. All right. Now I'm just going to add those 2 in line right there. 1 plus 4 gives me 5. Okay. Now I need to go back up here. Guess what that means? I'm going to take this number times the number in the box. That's 10. Add those 2 in line there. Negative 10 plus 10, 0. And we're done. Now we just have to put it back together. Well, it turns out, look at this. What does that match up with over here? The remainder. Yeah, that last number that you get right there, that's always going to be your remainder, which in this case it's 0. So that's good. Now, do you notice what these two numbers match up with over here? The coefficients of the quotient, isn't it? This is the coefficient of the quotient. Coefficients of the quotient. I could spell it. Yeah. The 2 is the coefficient of the x, and the 5 is the constant. And so we wind up with the very same answer. Again, though, you don't have to write the 0, x minus 2. So there you go. All right. So that's the process. Very useful, especially if you have bigger numbers, like x to the 5th, x to the 4th, because it doesn't take, it doesn't matter how long this top line is, they're just going to keep going out here, so you're never going to get more than these 3 lines. You see, instead of on long division, it just keeps getting longer and longer, whereas we go out that way. But
well, if you do it that way, and you get to the end, how do you know if you just end up with x and an x?
okay, yeah, we'll talk about that. All right, so let's do 2 more of these, then I'll be done. All right, so synthetic division. Let's go 4x cubed minus 10x squared plus 5x minus 6. And I'm going to write them this way because I think some of them might be like this instead, but it's the same thing, right? Dividing 4-term polynomial by a binomial. And again, it's a binomial of the appropriate form. Several of those that we did, the long division, we couldn't do this way. It has to be x minus a number or x plus a number, which again, I've got x minus a number, x minus 2 again. Maybe I should have changed that, but that's okay. All right? Okay. So let's use synthetic division. All right, so in synthetic division, the way I write it anyway, I think the book shows a little differently, but either way is fine. But anyway, over here to itself, what am I going to put? Well, it's the opposite of this number, which again just so happens to be 2. Put a 2 again here. Then alongside that, what do I put? Well, I put the coefficients of what I'm dividing. So that would be 4, negative 10, 5, and negative 6. Skip a row and then draw a line. And to get it started, this number just comes below the line. Just comes down. And then, yeah, you just multiply diagonal here. 4 times 2 gives me 8. And then add vertical, negative 10 plus 8 is negative 2. Then do it again. Take the negative 2 times the 2, the number in the box, that'll be negative 4. Add the 5 plus the negative 4, that's 1. 1 times 2 gives me 2. Add negative 6 plus 2 is negative 4. Bracket that one off because that is what? Remainder. Now, here, then this gives me some coefficients. Now, I think what your question was earlier, how do I know what I've got? Well, 4 is going to be times, of course, x, a variable. But do you see that what I'm going to start with is 1 less power than what I started with here? Right? Because I'm dividing 4x cubed basically by an x. So isn't that going to be down to a 4x squared? Yeah. This, the first one always goes with 1 less power than you started with. Yeah, if this was x to the 5th, then that would be x to the 4th. So 1 less power than you started with. That's what you got right there. So in this case, it's 4x squared, isn't it? then it just goes down. So that would be minus what? 2x to the first, and then plus 1 constant. And then plus, or in this case it's minus 4 over the original divisor. Yeah. Okay? So it just shortens the process. Right. If it's x minus a number, x plus a number, that's the only time you can use this. All right, let me give you one more. Just to make another point here. All right, so use synthetic division on this one. It's going to be x to the 4th plus 5x cubed minus 4x minus 30 divided by x plus 3. I think I got it on there. Yes, I did. Okay. All right. So if I use synthetic division, what goes here? Negative 3. Yeah, we do the opposite of what's over here. And the reason it's opposite is because that takes care of the subtraction. You know, technically we need to subtract these things, but if we do the negative there, it takes care of that, the opposite. Okay. Now, the other thing, we might actually we might want to rewrite that division there, because what do I have? I'm missing a term, aren't I? Again, I'm missing the x squared term. So really, what I want to divide here is x to the 4th plus 5x cubed plus 0x squared minus 4x minus 30 by x plus 3. All right? Yeah. Same thing applies here. If there's a missing term, it needs to be accounted for. And the way we account for it is put it in as 0 whatever. Okay? So what goes along here? 1, 5, 0, negative 4, and negative 30. Just the coefficients of, and the constant there of all my terms. With me okay? Skip a row, draw a line. This number just starts it, comes down below. Then we multiply. 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. Add those up. 5 plus negative 3 is positive 2. Do the same thing again. 2 times the negative 3 in the box, so that would be negative 6. Add 0 plus negative 6 is negative 6. Then take the negative 6 times the negative 3, positive 18. Right? Add, so you'll have negative 4 plus 18 is 14. And then 14 times negative 3 is a negative 42. Add, it's negative 72. So my remainder is a big one. These are my coefficients now. My quotient, it's 1 with what? X, what power? Third? 1 less power than I started with. Started with x to the 4th, so that's x to the 3rd. Then I go down from there. That would be positive 2 with the x squared, minus 6 with the x, plus 14. Let's scoot that over, because I'm running out of room. 1x cubed plus 2x squared minus 6x plus 14. And then your remainders minus 72 over your divisor that you started with, x plus 3. How about that? With me okay? All right, well, let me give you a few to practice on.